In 6th episode of Hell's Paradise, we are introduced to Rokurota, a massive giant from Bajingan, who was born with immense strength and an insatiable hunger. As a child, his hunger drove him to consume his own family, then gradually the rest of his village. In the present, his hunger leads him to attack Samurai Genji, injuring him severely. Seeing this, Sagiri is terrified, but Genji urges her to flee. Rokurota then turns his attention to Sagiri, but Gabimaru intervenes, striking the giant and sending him flying. Sagiri explains that Rokurota is a monstrous giant sentenced to death by the samurai. Gabimaru realizes that escaping is impossible. They must defeat him. Testing Rokurota's strength, Gabimaru dodges his attacks and counters with his own, but nothing affects the giant. Meanwhile, Sagiri helps the wounded Genji, refusing to abandon him. She recalls her training and identifies Rokurota's weak points, the joints where bones connect. She successfully cuts one of his fingers, making him roar in pain. As the fight continues, Gabimaru and Sagiri strategize to bring him down, using the spreading fire to suffocate him. Rokurota, overwhelmed, collapses, and Sagiri swiftly decapitates him. In his final moments, Rokurota recalls his tragic past. With the battle over, the group notices strange creatures drawn to the fire. Gabimaru suggests following them, believing it will lead to the elixir. Meanwhile, Toma and his brother discuss immortal sages before encountering something shocking, ending the episode on a tense note. In 7th episode of Hell's Paradise, Toma and his brother come across two mysterious women engaged in an intimate moment. Shocked, they watch as the blonde woman notices them and questions their presence. She expresses annoyance at their interruption, and suddenly, she transforms into a man. Meanwhile, Gabimaru and his group discover a strange village. As they investigate, Gabimaru spots a small girl who immediately runs away. He chases after her, believing she may hold vital information. Just as he catches up, a massive tree-like creature attacks him, allowing the girl to escape. Gabimaru fends off the creature while Sagiri joins the chase. The girl, surprisingly strong, easily throws Gabimaru aside. Sagiri tries to communicate, but the girl attacks, forcing Gabimaru to block her strikes. Realizing her strength, Gabimaru acknowledges he can't hold back. He manages to subdue her, but she begins crying. Just then, the tree-like creature speaks, shocking the group. It offers to lead them to the village and share knowledge about the elixir of life. They cautiously accept. At the village, the ruins reveal a history long forgotten. The tree-like being explains that this island is divided into 3 parts, with the elixir residing in the mysterious area known as Horai. Later, Gabimaru learns that the island is ruled by the immortal Tenzin, who kill all intruders. Toma and his brother, meanwhile, fight one of these beings and realize it's terrifying. Regenerative abilities. As the mystery deepens, Gabimaru resolves to find the truth and return to his wife. In 8th episode of Hell's Paradise, we delve into Tenza's backstory. As a child, he lived a life of poverty, surviving by stealing. People looked down on him, calling him worthless. One day he got into a fight, and a Yamada Asimon Shion took him in. In the present, Tenza and Nurugai search for an escape route from the island, but find none. Suddenly, a golden-haired woman appears and questions them. She then transforms into a man, revealing herself as a Tenzin. Realizing the danger, they flee, but the Tenzin swiftly catches up and attacks. Tenza is struck hard, but he quickly regroups and slashes the Tenzin's eyes. When the creature regenerates instantly, Tenza knows they can't win and signals Nurugai to run. As they flee, Shion arrives, cutting off the Tenzin's head. Shion urges them to escape, but the Tenzin regenerates. Once more, while running, Nurugai learns Shion is blind yet moves flawlessly. Tenza recalls how Shion trained him, always strict but kind. When Shion questions why Nurugai is still alive, Tenza defends her, pleading for mercy. Shion hesitates but ultimately accepts. Just as they plan their escape, the Tenzin reappears, launching a brutal attack. Shion is wounded and Tenza is gravely injured. In his final moments, he remembers Shion's teachings and fights to protect his master and Nurugai. Knowing he can't win, he urges them to flee. Shion reluctantly takes Nurugai and escapes as Tenza is left behind, sacrificing himself in a final stand. The 9th episode begins with Senta and the others discussing the mysteries of the island, but they struggle to understand anything. As night falls, everyone rests while Gabimaru stands guard, recalling Senta's words about the dangers of venturing into Harai without a plan. Determined to find the elixir of life, Gabimaru sets off alone, navigating through the dense forest. Along the way, he encounters strange trees, standing still as if in prayer. He presses forward, convinced he has no other option but to continue alone. Suddenly, he reaches a massive red gate and is stunned by its intricate design. Before he can react, Jujin, the golden-haired Tensen who killed Tenza, appears. Annoyed, she questions why humans keep arriving. When Gabimaru asks if humans are turned into elixir, she attacks. Gabimaru counterattacks, breaking her neck, but she regenerates instantly. Realizing she is immortal, he intensifies his assault, using fire to burn her. Believing he has won, he turns toward the gate, only for Jujin to shift into a male form and retaliate with deadly force. Despite severe injuries, Gabimaru fights on, desperate to return to his wife. As he pushes himself beyond his limits, Jujin's body mutates into a monstrous fusion of male and female forms, unleashing devastating attacks. Gabimaru is overpowered, but before the final blow lands, Mei intervenes, shielding him with a protective aura. Jujin, enraged, sends them both tumbling off a cliff. Meanwhile, the other Tensens gather, discussing the recent human intrusions, hinting at an even greater threat ahead. The 10th episode begins with Gabimaru and Mei encountering another convict, Tamiya, accompanied by his samurai Fuchi. Tamiya sizes up Gabimaru, assuming he's weak, but soon realizes he's the infamous shinobi. Gabimaru, injured and exhausted, understands that fighting Tamiya head-on won't be easy. As tension builds, Fuchi intervenes, stopping them from fighting and suggesting they exchange information instead. Gabimaru explains everything he knows about the Tensen, their immortality, and their abilities. Tamiya, intrigued, agrees to team up, but Fuchi remains skeptical. Tamiya then reveals his true goal, not just to obtain the elixir of life, but to make himself a legend. Meanwhile, Gabimaru notices Mei has suddenly grown older, shocking him. She calls his name for the first time, leaving him stunned. He asks her about her mysterious power and whether she too is immortal like the Tensen. Elsewhere, Senta and the others search for Gabimaru and Mei, discussing the strange nature of the island. Senta theorizes that the religion governing the island must have been created by a human, and finding that person might lead them to the elixir and a way out. Back with Gabimaru, he questions Mei about the Tensen's powers and how to defeat them. Mei cryptically repeats the word Tao, leaving them all confused. Suddenly, hordes of monstrous creatures attack. Meanwhile, Nurugai insists on learning swordsmanship from Shion, who initially refuses but ultimately relents. As the episode ends, Toma and his brother encounter Doshi, an elite servant of the Tensen, leading to an intense battle.